There is a lot of drama around the peripheries of the Nancy Guthrie case that I came back to after my brief little trip back to Northern California this past weekend. And I'm not really excited about that part. We're going to talk about it. We have to talk about it. I'm not super excited about it, but what I am excited about is that there might be reason for hope in this case. Uh, so much time has passed. I feel like I have been losing hope, but there is a reason to be hopeful that someday we will find Nancy Guthrie, that she may still be alive, and that is coming from somebody who ought to know. So we're going to talk about that. Of course, we're going to do 3 questions. We've got some updates in the Amy Hilliard and the Robin Michelle Reiner cases. And of course, we've got some good news. So we've got 10 gallons of show to put into a 5-gallon bucket. Stick with me. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend. Welcome back to another true crime conversation with me, Gavin Fish. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for tuning in. I know we don't tune things anymore. We really just kind of clickety-clack things. But thanks for clickety-clacking in just doesn't have the same ring to it. We all know what I'm saying. When an old guy like me says thanks for tuning in, then we get it. We get it. Plus, I mean, I don't want to disparage anyone or hurt anyone's feelings, but I look at the analytics. We're all kind of old on this channel. I am glad to be back after taking a couple of days off. As you guys know, I hail from Northern California, from the Sacramento, California area. And my dad, who has been active in the interfaith community there for, I don't know, a couple decades, I guess, and has been facing and battling for his life against cancer, was honored as kind of the reason for all the old gang to get back together and have a reunion. And it was delightful to be there. I had a difficult trip back, but I had to remind myself, hey, you just crossed the entire country. You did it in a day. So your bags didn't show up, or so you're a couple hours late. Not the end. Stop being grumpy, Gavin. Had to do that. Had to have conversations with myself. But yeah, got to spend some time with both of my sisters, with my folks, and some dear, dear friends of the family who we know through my dad's efforts on the Interfaith Council of Greater Sacramento. So it was awesome. It was awesome. I also got to see a, how would I describe her? She's like a kid sister. She's not my actual sister. She was once married to my brother-in-law, but I've known her since she was a teenager, and I just love her to death. So I got to spend some time up in the mountains with her. Got to talk to an old friend, on the phone, catch up. That was awesome. I got to have a little business meeting. So yeah, I had 10 gallons of things to do and a 5-gallon trip to stick them in. So it was great. And thank you guys for sticking with me we missed Monday and Tuesday. Monday was the big day for my dad's event, and yesterday was my travel day. So couldn't live stream, and I appreciate you coming back when we break our habits that way, kind of getting back. Speaking of which, I'm rusty here. Not I'm not in the swing of things, but we're gonna exercise these live streaming muscles. Let's recap the case that we're talking about, shall we? This is the case of missing person Nancy Guthrie. Of course, Nancy Guthrie was, or is, it's hard to say, but let's say is, because she always will be, the mother of Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie, a person in the United States of some fame, some notoriety, because she anchors one of the nation's most popular daytime television or morning time television shows. Nancy Guthrie was seen. She went to dinner with her family on January 31st, and that was a Saturday, and then was slated to attend church services, either in person or remotely. It doesn't really matter. I've never really figured out what if she was doing it in person. Doesn't really matter, but she did not show. And people in the congregation are like, what the devil? Contacted the family. The family went over there and were like, we got an issue here. Now, and she's been missing ever since. And of course, you guys know that the FBI, released images of this prowling guy in the early morning hours of February 1st, wearing gloves, wearing a backpack, wearing a mask. And this he's fooling around with the Nest camera on the front of the house. That camera was found to be missing. And there has been a lot of hubbub around Nancy's house and Nancy's case for very, very understandable, let's say, reasons. That you don't take an octogenarian from their bed in the middle of the night. This is not something that happens. This is not something that just happens, right? And kidnapping is a thing that in the States is kind of, it happens, but it's called kidnapping because they are kiddos that are the victims of this, not women in their 80s. And so, and of course, ransom notes came in, and we found out that some of them were just people trying to take advantage of the situation, people without scruples. Right. So was this for ransom? I'm sorry, Savannah Guthrie says she thinks probably yes. But was she taken to Mexico? Was she taken out of Arizona? Was she known to, or were her kidnapper or kidnappers known to her? There are just so many questions surrounding this. And the biggest question, I think, that we all have is, what? Because the sheriff's department seems to have had to be convinced that there was something nefarious going on here. And according to FBI Director Kash Patel, over the last couple of days, they were kept in the dark by the sheriff's department for something like 4 days. Now, we're going to read what Director Patel said, but I do think that it's important to at least recognize, I'm an apolitical show, but at least recognize that there are political incentives here, right? The director of the FBI is not necessarily the world's greatest investigator. It is a political appointment. So, and that's any director of the FBI, starting with Hoover. I was going to say maybe excluding Hoover. But no, it wasn't excluding Hoover. That dude was a politician. So there are incentives that are at play here that are political in nature. So who knows? But we're going to read what he said, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. First, let me just check to see where you guys are checking in from. I love it when I find out. I don't know if I told you. I'm rusty. Gavin's rusty, everyone. Gavin talks about himself in the third person. Gavin should stop talking about himself in the third person, especially when he's rusty. Javi, Gavin should stop speaking in the third person. Can you make a note of that? All right, thank you. Yeah, tell me where you're tuning in from. I love to find out where you are. Let's see what you guys are saying over here in the live chat here on the old YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or watching on Spotify, thank you very much for doing that. That really helps the show. Sarah, I did have a good trip. Thank you so much. Emmy, I feel welcome back. I appreciate it. I'm Goddess 1950 welcomes me home. So does Debbie from Iowa, tuning in from Iowa. We got Erie here. We got San Jose here. Robin is saying, Gavin, I'm fired up today. Robin's fired up, everybody. Good thing I got the light on before we started. Because on days that Robin's really fired up, I would hear it. And I would deserve it. Miss Chivos Dragon tuning in from Austin, Texas. Sharky Sharona, good to see you from South Lake Tahoe. We got Jacksonville, Florida in the house. We got Virginia here. Mooney, it's good to see you. Real happy. Gavin is back. Yay. Woohoo. Let's see. 8080 Jules says, Gavin, you look great. Thank you. I've just seen you in a while and you seem to have lost a significant amount of weight. I have. I've lost over 88 pounds. But who's counting, right? Who's counting? My starting weight when I started this was 288. I'm now under 200. And I think I'm on my way to 190, maybe 185, maybe 180. It really just depends on how I feel. And my body, I've learned, I'm kind of a narrow guy. So I don't need to carry a bunch of weight. I can slim it way down. But yes, I have. Thank you. The hair, by the way, guys, you guys need to get prepared because the hair is going to be going soon. Just get emotionally prepared. I know a lot of you are invested in it, but it's going to be leaving us soon, and I'm really looking forward to that. Tink35 from Norway, thank you for joining us all the way from Norway, Colorado. Thank you for being here. Orange Chicken. Let's see. Miss Chivas Dragon says, I do watch on my TV, so that's more like tuning in. That's true. That is the biggest segment of the audience watches on a TV, which actually kind of concerns me because I'm in 4K. You can see all the wrinkles and all that stuff. Scotch's mom, 63 years old here. Yeah, we're all geezers. That's just who we are. Sherry says, hey, Gavin, you got a nice shout out from Jen Coffin-Daffer the other day. Oh, Jen's awesome. That's awesome. She called out those grifters without naming them, but we know who they are. Then she said, follow you because you were legit. Well, Jen's the best, and Jen is legit. She's awesome. See if there's anything else here before we... Sherry says, no, not the hair. Let's see. Gavin probably should be a red light. That's funny. A red... You know what, Robin? Okay, yeah. Lee in Tennessee says, Gavin, you can tell Gavin lost the weight the real and healthy way. No Ozempic face. That's funny. I wanted to use GLP-1s. I just didn't want to pay the bill for them. So I decided I had enough personal... Well, I'm going to credit you guys for this because something that I know about myself is that I am terrified of public failure. And so I announced it to you that I needed to lose weight, and the fear is what kept me going. Archangel says you have to grow the hair back. Guys, I don't like the hair. Ami Sweden says, hello from Sedan RJ land of ABBA, Volvo, and IKEA. Sweden is one of my favorite countries to visit. I've spent plenty of time there on the archipelago, and I've driven. I've spent a lot of time in the car in your land. I love Sweden. Thank you guys for checking in. Really appreciate that. Okay, let's get into the old story, shall we? Join me, if you will, over here on Acrobat. Gotta touch the right buttons. Javi's keeping me honest. I'm touching the right buttons. By the way, Wanda is here. She's just been quiet so far. She's folding her arms reverently. She's kind of taking a nap. Are you awake? She's kind of asleep right now in that kind of twilight area. So we'll check in with Wanda here in just a little bit. Okay, this written by Jerica Duncan on CBSNews.com. Headline, Kash Patel, Arizona Sheriff clash over handling of investigation into Nancy Guthrie disappearance. FBI Director Kash Patel is criticizing local officials over their handling of the Nancy Guthrie case, but the Pima County Sheriff said some of Patel's comments are not accurate. Let's also take a moment to recognize that Sheriff Chris Nanos is also a politician. So these are two politicians having a public spat. That's what's happening. Guthrie, the mother of today's show co-host Savannah Guthrie, disappeared more than 3 months ago from her Tucson, Arizona home. She was last seen on January 31st and was reported missing on February 1st after a friend called the family to tell them she wasn't at church. In a podcast interview with Sean Hannity on Tuesday, Sean Hannity still has a show? You know, it has been so long since I've watched cable news. It's more like cable news commentary. And I have to tell you guys, this is, yeah, it is. This is a bit of a tangent. Let's do a tangent. Guys, I used to be a news junkie, and I would keep up to date on the latest everything. And so I would watch. The only one I didn't. Well, I would watch. I'm trying to be apolitical here. I would watch news and commentary on at least 3 cable news networks, and then one major, like one of the major, alphabet networks every day. I would consume it all. And then every day I would also go to Real Clear Politics. I would read everything there. And then I would go to SCOTUS blog and I would read everything there, get all the opinions. And then I had a couple of podcasts that I listened to that were the same thing. What I fell into this accidentally. I learned that, hey, if it's not important 48 hours later, it wasn't important to begin with. And so what I started doing is listening to the podcasts I was listening to later. I would listen to them like 48 hours late. And then as I was listening to them, I'd be going, I don't really care about this. I guess it's not important. So now, like I'm telling you, if you are a person that is consuming cable news and you are miserable and always kind of worked up, maybe not miserable, maybe just kind of always worked up, just take a break, man. Do you know why? Because they are designed to make you worked up. That's what they're designed to do. And by the way, I love, like, they're reporters that I love. Brian Enton's somebody that I'm like really respect. Love watching his stuff, reading his stuff. But it just, I don't know. When it comes to politics, that's just what I found, is that I'm happier if I'm a couple days later. I still read SCOTUS blog every day. But anyway, that was quite a tangent. Let's go back over here. So 2 politicians having a public dukaroo, right? Quote, for 4 days we were kept out of the investigation, Patel claimed. But Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos is disputing what Patel said. The sheriff department posted a statement from Nanos on X that said a member of the FBI task force was on the scene the night Guthrie was first reported missing. And I have that, by the way. I have that right here. We can just read it. We don't have to read a characterization of it, okay? So here is the statement. Let me come up on it a little bit. Okay. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos is aware of FBI Director Kash Patel's recent interview and statement. Sheriff Nanos responded to the scene the night of the incident, providing immediate local leadership and oversight. A member of the FBI task force was also notified and present at the scene, working alongside our personnel. You know, the way that was written, I'm not clear that an FBI task force member was there that night. I mean, again, these are politicians, right? So you got to parse the words carefully. A member of the FBI task force was also notified and present at the scene, working alongside our personnel. But when was that person at the scene? If you read the sentence before, it makes you feel like it was that night. But I mean, if I were an editor and I was editing this piece that a reporter sent to me, I would say that's unclear. You have not made that clear. And because it's political, I kind of feel like it's unclear on purpose. but that's just me. Okay, the FBI was promptly notified by both our department and the Guthrie family. While the FBI director was not on scene, coordination with the Bureau began without delay. Again, when did it begin? If he's saying 4 days, you need to say when it began, unless it was 4 days. And he didn't there. He was ambiguous. Decisions regarding evidence processing were made on scene based on operational needs. The laboratory utilized by the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI laboratory in Quantico have worked in close partnership from the outset and continue to collaborate in the analysis of evidence. And that was one of the things that Patel said was they didn't use our lab. It's the best in the world. They didn't use our lab. We could have flown it, could have flown the evidence directly to our lab. We remain committed to a thorough, coordinated, and fact-based investigation and will continue working closely with our federal partners as the process moves forward. Chris Nanos. That's what he said. Okay, let's continue. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so they gave a little bit of the statement, but we just read that. 2 days later, the Pima County Sheriff's Department held a news conference with the FBI. Quote, when we were finally let in, Sean, look what we did, Patel said on the podcast. We went in and got the doorbell video and we said, hey, is anyone talking to Google? Patel said he spoke with Google leadership and within days received the chilling images of a suspect described as a man of average build with an approximate height of 5'9" or 5'10" outside Guthrie's home. The man was wearing a face mask in images taken from Guthrie's doorbell camera video and had gloves and a black Ozark Trail hiker backpack, the FBI said. Patel also criticized local officials for not using the FBI's lab in Quantico to analyze DNA evidence. We had a fixed-wing aircraft on the ground ready to move it immediately through the night, Patel said, and they say we're sending it to Florida. In his ex-post, Nanos wrote the department's decisions regarding evidence processing were based on scene or were made on scene based on operational needs. Again, what does that even mean? So, and I'm not a person, I don't want to pick sides on this. And it's not because I'm wishy-washy or a fence sitter. Oh my goodness, that reminds me of a... No, don't do it, Gavin. Don't tangent, okay? It's not because I'm being a fence sitter. It's because I got two politicians here, and I don't trust either of them, I guess is really what it boils down to, right? I mean, what is Patel, what is the incentive for Patel to be talking about this anyway? Is he feeling some pressure that the FBI screwed up some sort, and so he wants to deflect blame over to Pima County sheriffs, who have plenty of blame, I think, right? I mean, I think they've kind of bumbled it along the way. The Sheriff Deputies Association sure thinks they have. But also, decisions regarding evidence processing, quote, were made on scene based on operational needs, close quote. Huh? I don't even know what that means. Okay. As the search for answers continues, Guthrie's family has been cleared of any involvement in her disappearance, according to investigators. So that is CBS's version. Now, ABC has a version as well. Let me just see if there's... I'll just kind of yada yada this a little bit. Yeah, he claims that the investigation, they were kept out of it for the first 4 days. Okay, blah, blah, blah. For 4 days, we were kept out of the investigation, Patel said on Sean Hannity's podcast on the FBI's lack of involvement in the initial days of the Guthrie investigation. Quote, the first 48 hours of anyone's disappearance are the most critical, close quote. Yeah, we have Quantico, best lab in the world, Patel said, adding he had an aircraft ready to move it immediately through the night. He added, I understand everybody's frustrations. And then there's the statement from Pima County. Last month, the FBI said it had received a hair sample tied to the Guthrie case that was collected in February. Quote, the FBI requested this material over 2 months ago, an FBI official said in a statement at the time. Continuing the quote, the Pima County Sheriff's Office sent it to a private lab in Florida. 11 weeks later, the lab has now transferred an original hair sample to the FBI laboratory for testing. We remain fully committed to this investigation. In the podcast interview, again, Patel took credit for obtaining the first images of the suspect. Quote, I called the leadership at Google and I said, look, we know that there was not a subscription service to capture all the data that would have been captured had there been a subscription service, but can we go into the cache? Can we go into the deep data before it's deleted and see what we can find? Patel said. That's why you have that image, because the FBI worked with Google to put that image out, he said. So he took credit for that, personal credit for that. He called Google. And you know what? He's the director. He can take credit for it, and he's a politician. He's going to take credit for it. That's kind of what was added by that article. Now, what does this get us? That's my question. What does this little spat? Why does it just get us? I mean, the good news is we're talking about Nancy Guthrie's case, right? And we should. There are these cycles in news. You know, I shouldn't name any names, but sometimes when I talk with my colleagues, we getting ready for some type of broadcast or live stream or something like that. When I'm talking with my colleagues, sometimes we'll be like, "Man, slow news day," right? Slow news day, or I can't believe how much is coming out today. There are cycles to this. Nancy Guthrie has maintained a presence in the news cycle now for 3 months, which is impressive. And I think continuing to talk about her is important. We should continue to do it. So I guess that's what we're getting out of this. We are we're talking about it, but I don't know that there's any value beyond that, right? What have we learned? Nothing new. Nothing new. She's still missing. There's still, mixed DNA evidence. There's the hair. There's, there's Sheriff Nanos, who's under pressure and by his deputies. They don't like the guy. All that stuff remains the same. And all the main thing that remains the same is that Nancy Guthrie is still gone. Desaparecida, right? She's gone. And but hopefully somebody's going to see a news article, a broadcast, a live stream on this channel or one of the gajillion others, and will say, I think I saw something. I think I may have seen something, and maybe it'll lead to solving the case. So we should keep talking about it, keep it on the top of our minds. It could be one of you, right? Could be one of you. I'm reasonably confident that it won't be me. Ms. Obi54, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate you getting us started tonight. Really appreciate you guys taking care of me. Let's see. Music to my ears. Gavin, donate your hair to Locks of Love. Yeah, the reason I am growing my hair is for a donation. That's the point. Barb Olson, I am Swedish, but how does your wife feel about the hair? My wife married a tall, fit, clean-cut young man and ended up with a hairy, fat man. So she deserves to get back what she married. I can't give her the youth, right? That's gone. Se me fue. But I can give her physical fitness so that we can have a longer rest of our lives together, and I can clean this up so that she's not embarrassed to be seen around me. And honestly, guys, I don't like it either. I'm not putting it all on her. I don't like long hair on me. I like the experience of growing it. I'm glad that I did. I've always wondered what it felt like to have long hair. Now I know, and I'm good. I'm good without long hair for the rest of my life. It takes so much to take care of, man. Plus, it accentuates the fact that I've got a receding hairline. It's just, yeah, I'm vain that way. Vain that way. But I'm glad that you guys like it. Amy says you should come back to Sweden, don't you think? I should. It's been a while. It's probably been, I don't know, 6-7 years since I've been to Sweden. Let's see. Keep on scrolling. Beth Peppers says Brian Enton and Gavin are a few I trust. There are some good ones out there. Diane Ferris says, Gavin, same here. 3 cable and 1 local news station. I can't listen to any loud, obnoxious host. Did find easy speaking voices on all 4. Good. Let's see. Emmy says, Savannah today again abruptly left the Today Show. Thank you for letting me know. Barb says, Gavin, this feels more like CYA. Maybe it is. Yeah, it's just political theater, right? Just to cover his own hind end. Hey, look how great I am. If it weren't for that, if it weren't for those meddling kids, if it weren't for that evil sheriff out in Arizona, we would have solved this. We were kept out of the most important time. Yeah, it does seem that way. Robin, thank you very much for gifting some memberships. That reminds me, we've got a new month. Right, we got a new month. I should be able to do that. Let me see if I can. Give me a second. I have to remember how to do this every single time. Yeah, there it is. Boom. Boom. There we go. Thanks, Robin, for gifting those memberships. I just sent a few out there myself. Autumn says, Gavin, I'm 100% sure that she loves you either way. Yeah, my wife's rad. Guys, my wife's rad. It's just the way it is. She's my snuggly bear, my sweetie pie, my one and only. And look, I love our kids. But they're going to grow up and all leave us, as they should. And when that glorious day happens, I'm just kidding. But I'm looking forward to spending some time, just Kimberly and me. We get very, very precious little time where it's just us. Diddly squat. I like Harry Gavin, just saying. Well, thank you. Let's see. Robin says, my husband would give almost anything for any sight of a hairline above his ears. That's funny. Emmy says, Joel from Surviving the Survivor will have 2 retired Pima County, probably sheriff's deputies, right? Awesome. Joel does a really good job getting guests, and Steve Cohen is the man. He does a good job over there, and I love Joel's show. If you guys are not Surviving the Survivor subscribers, you should be. Okay, thank you very much for those comments. Now, there's more. I want to bring up this little article. You guys can't see it because I have not pushed the right button, have I, Javi? How about now? Did I? I did a good job, Yemi. Okay, this from Brian Enton and Tatiana Carter on News Nation from yesterday. It says, as the Nancy Guthrie investigation continues, one factor that authorities could be considering is that her kidnapper, caught on footage from a doorbell camera, may not still be alive, according to a roundtable of law enforcement experts. In a new 1-hour documentary, News Nation presents The Nancy Guthrie Mystery, senior correspondent Brian Enton sits down with some of the top minds in criminal profiling to discuss the details of the case and examine the evidence to help find out what happened to Nancy Guthrie more than 90 days ago. Guthrie, 84, vanished, as we know, after a late-night encounter at her home, where security footage reportedly showed a masked person approaching her front door. She has not been seen since. Investigators continue to search for answers, and no suspect has been publicly identified. Authorities have not confirmed whether they believe more than one person was involved or whether the person in the video is alive. Forensic nurse Dr. Ann Burgess suggested in the special that the person seen in the footage may have been killed after the encounter. Quote, so the person we see at the front door could be dead, killed by someone else, killed by the boss. Oh, that's like a question. Sorry. So the person we see at the front door could be dead, killed by someone else, killed by the boss? Brian Enton asks. Right, by the boss. Right. It was well planned. They got away with it. And they form a type of case that we've never seen before, as far as I know, Burgess said. And that is important. Like, this is a unique case, right? And this is speculation. All of this is speculation. But it does kind of feel organized. How do you get away with something like this? It's tough. Criminal psychologist Dr. Gary Bricado said the circumstances could point to a broader structure or network of people behind the disappearance. Quote, if he's alive and is caught, he will lead down the spider web to the center, Bricado said, suggesting others may be connected and referencing a possible orchestrator behind the scenes. Bricado also described the incident as potentially reflecting differing levels of planning and execution. Quote, that amateur hour kind of quality is interesting also and suggests to me a difference in intelligences. Some schemer behind the scenes, and this character who is the sort of hired or asked to do this, he said. I don't believe this person worked alone. I think there's a little group of people. Criminologist Dr. Casey Jordan spoke with Enton about whether Guthrie knew the person captured on surveillance cameras near the door, or surveillance footage near the door. Quote, this person knew her. I don't think she knew this person. It could have been somebody who saw her on the Today Show with her daughter Savannah, Jordan said. Authorities have not commented on whether the suspect may have acted alone, whether others are involved, or whether the person in this video is still alive. Investigators have not released a motive. And I think this is a fascinating angle, right? We have we have video and a couple of images of one person. So did that person act alone? Well, it's actually really hard to get away with crimes like this. It's tough. So to me, that, and it has for a long time, lends itself to the idea that no, that person did not act alone. It was a team. But also this idea that maybe it was some kind of cartel or some organized crime, family or syndicate or organization. Organized crime organization? Yeah. Javi, you're going to have to edit that out in post. Sorry, man. Yeah, it's just, it feels like this is organized, doesn't it? I mean, except the amateur hour stuff with the ransom demands. That's just weird. So I don't know. But kudos to Brian Enton and News Nation for talking to experts about that and talking about whether that could possibly be the case. Very interesting stuff. Okay, and then the last story I wanted to bring to you in this case is written by Whitney Danhauer for Yahoo.com, titled Elizabeth Smart Believes Nancy Could Absolutely Still Be Alive. You guys know about Elizabeth Smart, right? This girl at a tender teenage age. She was, 14? When she was kidnapped out of her own bedroom by a person that was hired by her parents out of the charity of their hearts, and was abused over the course of 9 months. I don't remember those details, but like a long period of time, who has gone on to be an amazing advocate for survivors like herself, has gone on to teach us so many things. Anyway, she says there's reason for hope. So let's read this article. Elizabeth Smart doesn't want the public to lose hope in the search for Savannah Guthrie's mom, Nancy Guthrie. Quote, she could absolutely still be alive, Smart, 38, told CNN's Aaron Burnett in an interview on Tuesday, May 5th. This was yesterday. Quote, continuing the quote, there are cases that span many more years than mine does, and they came back alive. We're talking years and years, so she could absolutely still be alive. Smart herself was kidnapped at just 14 years old in June 2002. She was held at knife point and abducted from her bedroom by Brian David Mitchell. Over the next 9 months, yeah, I did have that that detail remembered. Smart was physically and essayed by Mitchell and his wife, Wanda Barzee. In March of the following year, passersby recognized Mitchell and Barzee from television reports. This is why it's so important, guys. And police were able to bring Smart home safely. That's why it's so important that, we keep talking about it. You know, when Elizabeth Smart went missing, she's a member of my faith, member of my, my heritage. So there were posters in every church building everywhere. We all knew exactly what she looked like. Didn't matter where you were in the world. And at that time, if I'm remembering correctly, no, I was not traveling tons and tons at that time. I was about to say at that time I was traveling a lot. I wasn't traveling tons, but I know that in every church building dotted across the world, Elizabeth Smart's face was there. We all knew what she looked like. You know, so, you know, keeping word out and keeping Nancy's face out there. Let's just making sure that everybody knows what she looks like and that everybody knows what this guy is built like, right? We just keep talking about it. We keep showing up. We keep talking about it. Somebody is going to recognize something. Okay. Okay. Since she was taken, there have been few major developments in the case, and some experts have said they no longer believe this is a missing persons case. Quote, I said at some point you have to realize it's not a missing person anymore. Morgan Wright, CEO of the National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases, previously explained during an interview on Brian and Investigates on March 19th. Continuing the quote, we have to realize Nancy was 84 years old and cardiac compromised. You need to treat this as a no-body homicide. I mean, perhaps. I think that's the most likely case, but we still need to keep hope alive. Savannah Guthrie, 54, has made multiple pleas to the suspect to bring her mother home, but to no avail. The family has offered up to $1 million in reward money. And then people with any information regarding the case are asked to contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. You may also contact your local FBI office, the nearest American embassy or consulate, or you can submit a tip online to tips.fbi.gov. So yeah, if you're in Mexico or somewhere else in the world and you see who you believe to be Nancy Guthrie, call a consulate. Or the easiest way, tips.fbi.gov. But I'm grateful that Elizabeth Smart said this out loud. Super grateful that she did that. Let me just let's bring Nancy back up and let me just check in on your comments before we move on. Let's see, Mooney, thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate you. Let's see, Real Happy says, I'm a Patreon member and Gavin gets more of a cut from them than YouTube. That is true. But I am deeply appreciative of everybody's support, however you do it. Sharky Sharona says, I suggest to friends, etc. to watch Gavin because of his empathetic presentation and sometimes very difficult news. Always there for the victims. Thank you, Sharky. I appreciate you. Thank you for that super chat. Pebbles says, I truly hope she has survived this ordeal, but what kind of shape and state of mind is she in? Yeah, this is reminding me of a conversation I had with my folks and my sisters just about, one of the beautiful things about being involved in an organization like the Interfaith Council is the depth of the cultural pool that everybody comes from. And, my dad has a friend who's a good man who I can't remember which African nation he grew up in, but it was one in deep turmoil. And he watched his father be murdered right in front of him. And he escaped. And, it was one of those, it was like, yeah, very ugly. And anyway, in the conversation, we were like, man, children are so resilient. Children are resilient. Now, of course, he's had to deal with that his whole life, right? The image of that his whole life. But he's the happiest, nicest, most amazing guy. But our adults, especially our octogenarian sisters and brothers, are they as resilient? Having to go through something like this. I don't know. Sherry says, I said that after no one was claiming the $1 million, that the porch guy was probably already gone into the beyond. Mentioned it to Brian. Perhaps he saw my post. Maybe he did. Lee in Tennessee, Dr. Ann Burgess is still pioneering behavioral analysis at 89 years old. Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah, and Debbie, this is a good point. While this is true about Elizabeth, she was not on heart meds, unable to walk any distances. But I do want to believe and keep hoping for Mrs. Guthrie to be okay, and that's great, Debbie. Thank you. Um, yeah, and Debbie continues. Brian Enton continues to keep Nancy in the news, as do you. And Brian does a much better job at it than I do, but and I'm grateful for him for doing that. You guys are always full of some of the greatest comments. We've got the best and the classiest live chat in all of YouTube. Thank you for keeping it classy. Okay, let's see. Before we've still got a little bit of show to do. I got to bring up my, just make sure that I've got everything done. Yeah, okay. So that is our update on Nancy Guthrie. We will continue to follow this case until the end. We'll continue to follow the case, and I hope that you guys will join me as I do that. And now, how about we get into 3 questions, shall we?
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Okie dokie, guys. In this segment, I answer 3 questions that are submitted by you to me to the email address shown on the screen, which is 3questions@gavinfish.com. It's spelled out THREE questions@gavinfish.com. 3questions@gavinfish.com. Please send your questions in there. It can be 1 question at a time. It can be 1,000 at a time. I put them all into a spreadsheet and, choose the ones that I want to answer first. But the solemn promise is I won't dodge anything. I won't duck and weave. I will take everything squarely on the chin, and I will answer all your questions. I just get to do it 3 at a time and in the order in which I want to do it. All right, here we go. Question number 1 from Wizard of Ezzy. This one actually just barely came in. Would you rather be the funniest or the smartest person in the room? Wizard of Ezzy. I like your parenthetical there. The non-Sarah Boone like smartest person in the room. You know what? I find that anytime I am in a room full of funny and smart people, it is the funniest person in the room that is the smartest person in the room. There have been times in my life where I felt, you know what? I'm the smartest person here. There have been times, not a lot, but there have been those moments. And I got to say, that's kind of boring. So no, I would not rather be the smartest person in the room, but it's a catch-22 because if I would not rather be the smartest person in the room, that means, to answer your question, I'd rather be the funniest person in the room. And by my own definition, the funniest person in the room is the smartest person in the room. So if I may take the third option and just say, I love hanging out with smart and funny people. Hopefully that, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this in the live chat. Question number 2 coming from Kelly. This one is a new one too. What is your favorite genre of music? It's been a while since I've been asked about music. What is my favorite genre of music? Well, not to, oh, you guys know this about me. I would say probably musical theater. Like the art form that is the musical or the light opera, I'm all about it. So I'm like a Sondheim fan. However, I don't like just listen to musical theater all the time. It's not like Rodgers and Hammerstein 24/7, 365 for me. The music that I listen to the most is rock from the 60s and 70s, followed by rock from the 80s and pop from the 90s. That's kind of the order that I go in, and then yeah, I watch a lot of musicals. Kimberly and I attend the theater. I guess. Yeah. I've got I've got a like I listen to my music on Amazon Music, and I've got a playlist that is just like my favorite songs, and there are about 400 of my favorite songs on there, and I add to them here and there. But if you look at the list, it is I mean, the only thing that's not in there is rap. I mean, hip hop's in there, pop's in there, rock's in there, opera is in there, classical is in there, big band is in there, choir is in there. I I just really do love music, but I guess in descending order of importance for me, it goes musical theater, 60s rock, 70s rock, 80s rock, 90s pop. Yeah. And I don't know, I'm a sucker for the 80s power ballad. I'm a sucker for it. I love it. Love it. I'd love to hear what you guys think. What are your answers to that question? What is your favorite genre of music? And then our third question came in from John. This one is a recent one too. If you were flying as a passenger commercially on a 767, 777, etc., and the pilots were incapacitated, could you land the plane? Um, Probably not. Probably not. Uh, the I understand that there are just certain things that happen that become commonplace, right? But I want you guys to know that aviation is magic. It is still magic. And it requires so much practice. Guys, if I go a year without flying a Cessna or a Piper or something like that, I am rusty. And in fact, we have biennial flight reviews for a reason. Every 2 years, you have to go with an instructor, and they check you out, make sure that you're okay. Right? It's like this is not flying an airplane or any other fixed wing, rotor wing, any other aircraft is a perishable skill, and and if you aren't practicing, you lose it. It's not like riding a bike. So and the biggest plane I have ever flown is like a King Air, a twin engine turboprop. Um, and I'm not qualified on that. That's just what I was the last thing that I was being instructed on. So whenever like you know the obnoxious thing where we all clap, or sometimes they'll clap when there's a really smooth landing. No, a pilot deserves the ovation every single time. It's really a an amazing skill. So yeah, I yeah. Sorry to disappoint. No, I probably couldn't. Now, I could talk with ATC. They might be able to talk me in or talk me through it because I know there are automated systems and stuff like that, but I might be able to be talked through it, and maybe a person or two would survive. But no, I would not just be able to land the aircraft. No. Now, I love hearing your answers to the three questions. Do you have a hobby? He asked this because I'm a private pilot. Uh, do you have a hobby where like there's the professional version of it that you are confident in? Guys, I am a skilled and practiced photographer. That is something that I do really well in my particular style. Uh, and where was I going with this? Oh, I started my photography training when I was 13, and uh, part of that training was the chemistry of it because it was before the digital era, right? So it was the chemistry of it. Well, my whole life I've said to myself and I've said to others, boy, if I needed to, I could develop film and paper no problem. I could do that no problem. I've done it so many times, thousands of repetitions. Well, I just had to put my money where my mouth is because we now have a dark room. have everything we need. And our son was like, okay, can we develop these 3 rolls of film that I've taken? I went, how about we buy some film and just go take some crap photos and then we'll practice on those? Because it's a perishable skill. It's been 35 years since I ever had to develop a roll of film or or a photo onto photo paper. But I'm excited about it because it's something that changed my life, right? That there are things that don't translate over time. It's not like riding a bike. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And while you guys are typing up your answers to 3 questions, let me get the right. While you guys are typing up your answers to 3 questions, which were, would you rather be the funniest or the smartest in the room? What's your favorite genre of music? And then, would you be able to accomplish the commercial version of whatever your hobby is? I'd love to hear your answer to that. While you are putting that in, let's check out a couple more headlines, shall we? Hey guys, Amy Hilliard is still missing, and there is now a $25,000 reward for information leading to her safe return. This is a picture of Amy right here. She was last seen on the afternoon of March 25th. She was wearing a white short sleeve shirt, light jeans, white sneakers with black stripes. She's a 52-year-old woman, 5'4" tall, 120 pounds, blonde hair, and hazel eyes. There's a website called Bring Amy Home. Let me open this up. This is bringamyhome.com. There's a GoFundMe. Guys, they just increased the reward from $10,000 to $25,000. And there was some news last week that she may have been seen up in the Weed area near Mount Shasta, the Mount Shasta area. So if you are in that area, anywhere really, please be on the lookout for Amy Hilliard. She is still missing. There's a $25,000 reward, and please help bring her home. The other thing that came up that I thought was noteworthy for us is that Jake Reiner has announced that he will return basically to his day job after breaking his silence on Substack about the murder of his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner. This written on May 4th at people.com by Natasha Dye. Rob and Michelle Singer Reiner's son, Jake, is returning to host the Incline Dodgers podcast after breaking his silence on the murders of his parents. Jake, 35, has been co-hosting the show, a deep dive on all things Los Angeles Dodgers, with his co-host Kevin Kline since April 2019. After the murders of Rob and Michelle in December, Kline carried on hosting the podcast without Jake. On Monday, May 4th, the pair announced that Jake will be returning to the show on Wednesday the 6th, so it happened today. The Incline's official Instagram account posted a graphic that read, "Breaking: Jake Reiner returns to the Incline on Wednesday." So I know that actually, it's the Reiner family, I think, that has epitomized grace under extremely difficult circumstances. They are the ones that asked us to please temper our speculation with humanity and with compassion, and that has become a mantra of mine. I want to temper everything that I say and do with compassion and with humanity. This is a terrible, terrible tragedy and terrible crime, but life does have to go on. There has to be a time of grieving, a time of mourning, a time of prosecution, right? But I'm glad to see that he is moving on. Good on him. Now, Wanda, well, that was good news. We probably should have done that before, but can you give us some kind of transition music so that we can transition into, thank you for waking up, sweetie, so that we can transition into some good news. I like this tune. You're so good at it. Wanda's got the arms of the Hydra, man. She can play all those instruments. Yes. Wanda, that is terrific. I'm going to turn you down just a little bit, but keep playing. You're doing great. Doing great. Guys, we have got amazing news out of Good News Network. I like this tune, Wanda. All right, we can stop it. Thank you very much. Wanda is the best. Guys, we got some good news. This is a great story from Good News Network. Orphaned otter found on a beach is now surrogate mother to an orphaned pup found on a beach. This brought to us by Andy Corbley at goodnewsnetwork.org. When rescuers found a 2-week-old otter pup alone in Asilomar State Beach on the central coast of California, they knew exactly what to do. They took the pup, named Sunny, to the Aquarium of the Pacific. Go to the Aquarium of the Pacific, guys. It is so much fun. Okay? Where lived a maternal-aged otter named Ray, R-E-Y, as in, why not Raina? But that's okay. Ray, as in royalty, who was also found orphaned alone on a beach as a juvenile. It's a full circle moment that saw Ray adopt Sunny. That's cute. Ray adopts Sunny through a pioneering surrogate initiative run by the Monterey Bay Aquarium. The two are bonding well, having been transferred to the Monterey Bay Aquarium's Otter Rehabilitation Center in Long Beach. Staff have determined that it's no longer possible to release the two otters back into the wild, as they're already too accustomed to humans and lack the experience to avoid the sea otter's main dangers. Nevertheless, Sunny needs to learn how to be an otter, and The Guardian reports that Ray is teaching her vital skills like how to find, catch, and open food, irrespective, I don't like that word, of where her future home will be. Though the two are destined for an aquarium enclosure, the otter program has successfully rehabilitated 9 southern sea otters and released them back into the wild, in part because of the surrogacy program that gives otter pups a chance to survive to adulthood when they had no hope of doing so otherwise. So that's pretty cool. I'll finish it. Megan Smiley, the sea otter program manager at MBA, said that the two were seen manipulating false crab shells, an important foraging skill. Next up may be the use of tools, a skill the ultra-intelligent sea otter is quite proficient in. They've been recorded opening doors and unscrewing nuts from bolts. Ray isn't neglecting the lovey-dovey part of motherhood either, and when it's time for a nap, we'll pull Sunny onto her chest, belly up, to relax her. It doesn't matter what species you are. Motherhood is hard work, but Ray seems to excel at it. I am a sucker for happy animal stories. They make me happy. I hope they make you happy too. And those are your headlines, guys. Let's, Gavin, you got to push the right button. Those are your headlines, guys.
True crime headlines.
How? Okie dokie. Let's go over to your comments here. Let's just make sure that I get them all. There we go. This one from Robin. I don't know, Gavin. The older my mom gets, the more stubborn and grouchy she is. She would probably be returned nicely. That's funny. I am so sorry that we kidnapped you, Mrs. Robin. Mrs. Bean. Here, I will just return you home. That's funny. My mom's getting sweeter the older she gets. Kay Bling says, both you and Brian are great. Nancy has the best coverage with many YouTubers. I agree. Let's keep rolling on down. Okay, you guys are saying, Mooney's saying classic or hard rock. Mooney's also saying big hair bands too. Any kind of rock, heavy metal, and blues for me. I like the blues too. In fact, what is her name? Oh, I just saw she was on I'm blanking on so many things right now. The Tedeschi Tucker band. Have you what is her name? Is it Susan Tedeschi? What is her name? Tedeschi Tucker band. Tedeschi Trucks Band. Sorry, the Tedeschi Trucks Band. Yeah, Susan Tedeschi. I just saw her on like a YouTube program and she blew me away with her music knowledge. She was so amazing. Yeah, I like blues too. I like the blues. Um, all right. What else you got? 70s and 80s music. Affordable says, love my Spotify. Clarinet Girl says, the Bee Gees and Queen are my favorites. Those are good choices. Those are good choices. Emmy says, pop and rock. Gavin needs some older Eminem thrown in. Hey, listen, I recognize the talent. I recognize the talent. It's just, and there are a couple, like specifically Eminem, a couple really good songs. And I remember like, Run DMC back in the day. I saw them in concert. Um, but it's just, so I recognize that the art form is great. It just doesn't speak to me, it just doesn't speak to me anymore. Uh, let's see. Pearl Snap says, Gavin, what do you think about the changes at Court TV? What changes have happened at Court TV? I've been disconnected for like 5 days. What happened at Court TV? I'm not sure. Also, other than Joel at Surviving and True Crime, what other YouTubers do you watch, listen to? Pearl Snaps, you're trying to cheat. Now, I understand why. I understand why. But you're asking 3 questions. That's what you're doing. You're asking questions. Those are perfect for the 3 questions segment. Send those in. Beth Pepper's Coat says, loves Steve Perry. I do too. I just rewatched an interview with him and Dan Rather, where he was talking about why he left Journey. Good stuff. Maven just saw Michael Jackson movie and now on a total Michael kick. Affordable says they took Court TV off where I live. So upset. Dang it. That does kind of suck. Queen is amazing. You guys know. Let's see. Anything else? Just want to make sure that I got everything. Clarinet Girl, not surprisingly, is a woodwind specialist. Clarinet is major instrument. We have a family friend who we're kind of married or related to by marriage now, who got her degree in saxophone, but just is an amazing musician and plays everything. Just plays everything. And it's really fun. Laura Christine says, I used to develop film in high school graphics arts class back in the 80s. Yes, good stuff. Debbie saying, why can't you be both funniest and smartest? You can. I just don't want to be. It's boring. It's boring to be the smartest person in the room. It's like, dang, these people are all idiots. I want to be the idiot around the smartest person. That's what that's the way it is for me. Robin says, Gavin, I'm the funniest one at my mom's house and definitely not the smartest. Okay. All right. Proving my theory wrong. Debbie thinking all the mods are awesome. And Debbie saying my mom would be quickly returned too. Cabling showing our age. Debbie saying, listen to the Hollow Coves. The Hollow Coves. Check the Hollow Coves. I will do that. Guys, thanks for spending some time with me today. It's good to be back in the saddle, and grateful that you would spend some time with me here on YouTube or on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll keep on the case. We'll keep on this case, and we'll continue to do it until there's some sort of resolution. And come back to me tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time right here on YouTube or Rewatch Crew. You can catch me anytime on YouTube or Spotify, and Spotify is a good place to watch because if you're in the Rewatch Crew and you have a Spotify video premium membership, that is a great place to watch. It really supports the channel, and I deeply appreciate that. Otherwise, you can check me out on my website, gavinfish.com, which includes Crime Cod articles. You can check out Crime Cod. You can sign up for the newsletter that comes out on Tuesdays. We missed it yesterday. My fault. I was traveling all day, but it'll be back next week on Tuesday. And then if you click on the little fishy link, that will take you to the fish tank where we hang out. I posted this photo today. This is me 10 years ago at one of my favorite places on earth. And I asked you guys to tell me where I am, wrong answers only. So hop on in there in the fish tank and tell me where I am sitting in front of that glorious 70s BMW supercar prototype, show car. Wrong answers only. And definitely check us out there in the fish tank. With that, guys, I bid you adieu. Thank you very much for being here. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.